Hello and welcome, my dear friend. Do you know what God sees when He looks at you? Not a person scrambling to figure themselves out, not someone chasing for proof that they matter. He sees a rare presence, almost like a library that's been standing for centuries, holding stories no storm could erase. That's what you are. You don't just carry a life, you carry layers of lives. Wisdom that has been etched into your very being long before you had language for it. There is a particular kind of beauty you carry, and I'm not talking about what mirrors reflect. I'm talking about the quiet way you hold yourself, the way even your smallest choices, how you write, how you pause before speaking, even how you cook, seem to carry an elegance you didn't study, but somehow always had. If someone were to follow you for 24 hours, really paying attention, they would notice it. The rhythm in how you move, the patience in how you wait. Even the way you pick up your glass of water would feel intentional, like a line in a poem. You are walking art, not art that demands attention, but art that reveals its depth the longer it's looked at. And here's the part most people don't see. This beauty didn't come without cost. You had to build discernment. You had to learn when to open your energy and when to guard it like a fortress. Not everyone gets access to the real you. Not everyone deserves to. But something has been happening, hasn't it? The more you've grown, the less you've cared about validation. The less you've craved applause. It's like something inside of you finally detached from needing to be recognized in order to know you're real. You no longer need the echo to confirm the voice. You already know you're here. That kind of freedom is rare, and it makes you untouchable in ways you can't even see yet. But let's not pretend it was easy to get here. In the past, you may have believed you had to earn every ounce of love, every piece of approval in life. You thought that worth came from producing, serving, proving, that being quiet about your needs was safer than being honest about them. And yet, look at you now. You've broken that cycle. There is a fire in you, different from anyone around you. Most people can sit in comfort forever. You can't. Something inside you won't let you settle. Even when you tried to, even when you convinced yourself the small life was enough, it never lasted. The whispers always returned. The dreams you tried to bury refused to stay underground. That fire, that's not greed, that's not ego, that's calling. And calling doesn't care about convenience. It doesn't care about how many times you tried to silence it. It only knows one thing, that you were built for more, and sooner or later you would have to face it. Maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about. That restlessness, that irritation you feel when you try to force yourself into a life that doesn't match your spirit. It's not burnout, it's betrayal. Betrayal of your own heart when you ignore what it knows. Let me give you an image. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down into fog. You can't see the ground. You don't know how far the fall goes, and your mind keeps asking, what if I leap and lose everything? But here's the truth that's been circling you lately. What if the ground isn't the end at all? What if it's the beginning? Because that's what faith is. Not blind recklessness, not pretending you're unafraid, but choosing to trust that your soul wouldn't pull you towards something if it wasn't already written for you. And I need you to hear this clearly. The fact that you feel that tug, that insistence inside you, is proof. You wouldn't feel it if it wasn't already yours. That's why the old life feels too tight now. That's why staying the same feels unbearable. Your spirit knows something your eyes haven't seen yet. There is more prepared for you. And it's not just about you succeeding. It's about you living as the walking art you were always meant to be. Every action, every choice, every expression of your life becoming a kind of poetry, a love story to the one who created you. And when you live like that, others feel it. They don't always understand it. Sometimes they resist it, but they can't deny it. So believe it deep in your heart when I say, you are not unfinished. You are not late. You are not behind. You are a masterpiece still being revealed, and it's just a matter of believing it, so you can see your destined life with your eyes, touch it with your hands, and hold it in the physical, not just feel it in your spirit. Here's what's remarkable about you. Most people confuse their gifts with their performance. They think being valuable means being busy, or being loud, or being impressive in a way the world can measure. But your presence itself is the gift. The way you listen, the way a single glance from you makes someone rethink the mask they were wearing a moment before. There's a stillness that follows you, not heavy, but like a page being held open by something unseen. That is not something you can rehearse. That is something God wove into you before you had a chance to hide it. And maybe that's why you've been misunderstood so many times. Some people don't know how to place you, because you can't be forced into the boxes society tries to build. They sense your depth but can't explain it, so they label you mysterious, or worse, they project their own fear of not being enough onto you. But here's the truth. You're not hard to understand. You're just not willing to flatten yourself into what's convenient for others. And that quiet refusal, that's power, that's leadership, that's wisdom in its raw form. Because what you carry isn't just information, it's presence. And presence will always outweigh noise. It doesn't take a stage for your essence to show. It shows in the quiet habits, in the way you handle the simplest tasks, in the patience threaded into your movements. Ordinary to others, but layered with meaning to heaven. That's why your creativity doesn't have to stay in a canvas, or a page, or a stage. It spills into how you pour a glass of water, how you hug someone who's been carrying weight all day, how you pray when no one's listening. You don't create art, you are art. And when you start seeing yourself like that, everything shifts. Because then you stop asking, am I enough? And you start asking, how much more can I reveal of what God already placed inside me? But let's get real. This level of calling doesn't come without tension. You've probably noticed you can't do average anymore. You can't sit comfortably in shallow conversations. You can't pretend to be satisfied with a life that doesn't stretch your spirit. That irritation you feel in ordinary settings, it's not arrogance. It's alignment pulling you out of cages that were never yours to live in. And that's why so many around you might feel triggered, not because you're showing off, but because your very existence exposes what they've been willing to ignore in themselves. Yet instead of shrinking, you've been learning the quiet art of turning your magnetism on and off. Almost like a light dimmer, you choose when to reveal the full radiance of who you are. Why? Because you've seen what happens when you leave it on all the time. People swarm, they cling, they confuse your light for a spotlight meant only for them. But you've grown wise. Now you know when to share, when to protect, when to activate. That's not hiding, that's mastery. And soon, very soon, the right people will find their way to that table. Not because you demanded it, not because you begged for it, but because God Himself placed your name in the mouths of those who need to know you. So hear me. If life feels tight right now, it's because you've outgrown every smaller version of yourself. If your relationships feel strained, it's because you can't keep pretending to be comfortable in spaces that refuse to grow. And if your dreams feel bigger than your resources, it's because God is preparing you to live from faith, not formulas. The old life can't hold you anymore. The false identity can't fit you anymore. The shallow waters can't satisfy you anymore. You're being called to live fully as what you already are, walking poetry, living evidence of divine creativity, a rare presence that turns ordinary life into holy expression. So the question isn't, can I really do it? The question is, am I willing to stop betraying my own heart just to make others comfortable? Because the moment you stop betraying yourself, your whole life realigns, and that's where you are now. So let me end with this, because I want you to carry it deep into your spirit. You don't need to wait for anyone to validate you. You don't need to hide the quiet power you've been entrusted with. You don't need to fear the cliff you're standing on, because the truth is, you were never meant to fall. You were meant to fly. And very soon, the world will see what God has always seen in you, a masterpiece, fully alive, finally revealed. And before we finish, I want to share something with you. As a musician, I've started a second channel, Simplified Serenity, with soaking worship instrumentals for prayer, stillness, and deep rest. If you felt peace here today, take it with you into your own quiet time with God. The link's in the description. I'd love to see you there.